Now, so that equals 100, which is not about 200. So that is not correct. Now we're going to take 400. That number is already rounded to the nearest hundred, so we're just going to leave it at 400. And we're going to look at 225. Okay, look at the hundreds place. It's 2. Let's look at its neighbor to the right, who's always right. Well, that's 5 or more, so it's going to tell the 2 to raise the score. So that number is going to become a 3, and then we put zeros to the right. So that's 0, 0, and 1. So that's 100. That can't be the answer. Now we're left with two answers. Either it's not here, or C is going to be the answer. So let's look. At 3, we're going to round to the nearest hundred. We're going to move to its neighbor to the right, and he's going to say raise the score because he is 5 or more. All right, so that 3 becomes a 4, and then we put zeros to the right. Subtract, look at the 1. All right, we're going to look at his neighbor because he's always right. Well, he is 5 or more, so we are going to raise the score. Raise 1 to a 2, put zeros to the right, and then subtract. And that answer does equal about 200. So the answer is C. The table shows cars in a parking lot are black, white, red, and yellow. And all, about how many cars are black and white? Round to the nearest 10. Okay, so we see all of these different color cars, but all we're really trying to figure out is how many cars are black and white. When we see that and, it means that we're going to be adding. So let's go ahead and pull out the information for black cars. Okay, that equals 138. And we'll pull out the information for white cars. And that information is 227. Okay, so we're going to round these numbers before we add them. Look, okay, we are going to skip the hundreds place for now. We're actually going to be looking at the tens place because if you look at our answers, most of them are rounded to the nearest 10. Okay, so we're going to look at our neighbor next door because the neighbor next door to the right is always right. The 8, because it's 5 or more, is going to tell the 3 to raise the score. Okay, so then we have a 4, put zeros to the right, and then bring this number on over, so that number is 140. We are going to look at the 7. The 7 is also 5 or more. It tells the 2 to raise the score, so that becomes a 3, put zeros to the right, and then bring the other number over. Here's where we're going to add. And notice that I'm putting everything lined up with the correct place value so that I'm ready to go and I understand what needs to be added together. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 3 is 7. 1 plus 2 is 370. Okay, so I'm getting the answer of 370. It's about 370 rounded to the nearest 10. Okay, based on my answers, everything's rounded to the nearest 10, and it says rounded to the nearest 10. So I know that 370 is my answer, and that is C. Which statement best describes the pair of quadrilaterals above? All right, so based on these answer choices, we're going to have to know what each of these things mean. All right, quadrilaterals, okay, means 4 sides. Okay, and both of them have 4 sides. It says the quadrilaterals are symmetrical. We haven't talked about objects being symmetrical, but that basically means if we drew a line down, this side would be the same as this side. We could fold it and get the same thing. So those are not symmetrical because if we folded this, it would not be the same. Okay, these quadrilaterals are similar. All right, similar is the same shape, but not the same size. Now these are the same size, and they are the same shape, so that is not the answer. Quadrilaterals, the reflection, so basically if they mirror each other. And because this shape is turned, it does not mirror this shape over here. Okay, so that one mirrors. And that is not true. The quadrilaterals are congruent. Congruent means same size, same shape. Okay, and that is true. Okay, even though these shapes are turned, they are the same size and the same shape, and you can tell that by counting the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I've counted this side. It is 9. All right, now I'm going to count this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've counted that side. It's 9. Okay, then I'm going to count the other side that is parallel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. Okay, this side is parallel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So these are the same size and the same shape. D is the answer. How many faces does this figure have? Okay, so we are going to be looking at the figure right here. Okay, and it's asking how many faces does it have? And we put a star on each face. Okay, now it's easy to see all of these faces, but there is one on the back that we can't see. Okay, so if we're using this star to represent the front, we're just going to use one more to represent the back, so then we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The answer is D. How many vertices does this figure have? So let's look at it. We're going to label those vertices with dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. So anywhere that two edges meet is a vertice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the answer is C. All right. Which sentence about the rectangular prism is not true? Okay, so let's check this out. It has 6 rectangular faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 for the back, 6. So that is true. All right. It has 12 edges. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so that is true. The faces must be congruent. Let's see. The faces must be congruent, which means same size, same shape. Okay, so I'm seeing right here, this side over here, okay, this face right here is not the same size and not the same shape as this one. Okay, and I'm thinking this is a rectangular prism, so being the same size and the same shape doesn't necessarily that doesn't necessarily have to be, because then I think that might be closer to something like a cube. So I'm going to put a question mark on that one and check my next answer. It has 8 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and that is true. Well, the only answer I'm kind of iffy about is this: the faces must be congruent. So that's going to be my answer, not true. Okay, for this question, we're going to have to draw out all of these shapes. Mr. Morris tells the class that he is thinking of a 3-dimensional geometric figure. He tells the class that the figure has 5 faces and that it's not a triangular prism. What geometric figure is Mr. Morris describing? Okay, so we're going to draw these out. Now, a triangular pyramid has a triangular base, okay, and here's a bird's eye view. I've been teaching the kids that sometimes a bird's eye view is easier to draw than just the 3D shape. So here's the star 1, 2, 3, and then the bottom side is 4. So that has 4 faces. That is not the answer. Here's a square pyramid. Starts with a square, and all the sides meet at that middle vertice. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bottom side is 5. Okay, so this is 5. Now let's look at the pentagonal pyramid, which sounds kind of scary, but it's not. It's just a pentagon that has 5 sides, and all of those edges meet in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the bottom side is 6. All right, and then a hexagonal prism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they all meet in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 for the bottom, 7. Okay, let's look back at our question. It has 5 faces and is not a triangular prism. What geometric figure is Mr. Morris describing? He's describing a square pyramid. Okay. Which of the following statements is not true? All right, now a square can be a rectangle because it has 4 angles that are right, and it also is a quadrilateral, meaning it has 4 sides. A rectangle cannot always be a square because in order to be a square, all of the sides have to be the same length. So therefore, this statement is true. This statement is not true. Let's go through the rest of our answers. A square is a quadrilateral. Well, quadrilateral means 4 sides. So yes, a square is a quadrilateral. That is true. A rectangle is a parallelogram. Well, if we draw a rectangle, we do have 2 sets of parallel lines. So that is also true. The answer for the statement not being true is B.